Hey y'all, Sim back at it with another video, Monday Motions, and today I'm happy to announce I'm here with founder and CEO of Making It Marketing, Tara Ostromecky. Tara, thank you very much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It is great to be here. I've been watching the pod for a while now, so I'm really excited to be a guest and to share my story and hopefully motivate some people this Monday.
Yeah, I love it. I was really excited when you wanted to be a part of this because, especially in this area, in the New England area, you're somebody that obviously got into entrepreneurship at a young age, and
Yeah,
a lot of people have something, a lot of things to learn from you. So
thank
thank
you.
you again for joining me. So I kind of wanted to just begin and have you talk a little bit about your background. So for people that might not know what it is that you do, and share a little bit about that first.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd be remiss if I can't say how we met. So we went to
Yeah.
college together. Nichols College is such a big part of my journey and my story and kind of what led me to where I am today. And you and I actually met in the marketing club. I remember you showed up and you were like, I don't know what this is, but I'm down. You're like, let's see what you guys got going on. So senior year at Nichols, I was the president of the marketing club. And at that point, I like to think like I had a good amount of my goals in my life and like what I wanted to do kind of figured out. I've been an old soul like my whole life. Since I was young, I knew I wanted to do business. I love art. I fell in love with art and I wanted to find a way to do art but still be really successful and make money and have like a good career. So ultimately, that's what led me to the field of marketing. One fun fact and story about how I got into marketing is I always used to go shopping with my mom. And I remember being in Walmart one day and seeing like a buy one, get one free deal. And my brain was like, it's not really free. You're just paying like, half price for each of these products. So I was always reverse engineering these marketing tactics and sales ever since I was a young kid. So that's one of the
Oh,
things that also kind of led me into this career of marketing because we're every person every day, we are so surrounded by marketing. Marketing's gotten so good in 2025 like right now that half the time we don't even know that we're being marketed to. So that's one thing that's really fun about my job. But long story short, so I fell in love with marketing. I started doing marketing. I obviously majored in that in college when I went to Nichols, and then I didn't know where I wanted to go with it because it's a really really big field, as you know, as someone who also studied it. There's a lot of different directions you can go. And I remember just kind of asking questions in my college classes like, what even is the difference between marketing and sales? I was trying to learn that. Should I do social media? Should I do traditional marketing? And when you're in college and studying marketing, they're not necessarily teaching you about all the different niches and like little tiny things that you can turn into entire careers. So ultimately, I found social media because we're Gen Z, we're all on social media. And in 2020, I was babysitting for a family they were husband and wife couple, entrepreneurs. They're still running very, very successful businesses to this day. And I remember telling them, like, I'm studying marketing. At the time, I was working my still kind of high school, college job. I was working at a dance studio as they called me the desk girl. I was a secretary there. And more than that, I did the trash, I did the cleaning, I did really everything. And I kind of begged to do the marketing. I would hand draw like signs for recital tickets. And I remember telling the people I babysat for, I was like, really kind of sick of taking the trash out and cleaning. I was like, I feel like I have a skill set, above that, like I can do more. And they had said, oh, well, maybe we can hire you as an intern for a remodeling company. And then they also said, why don't you start your own company? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to, but why now? I think as young students, when you're 18, 19 years old, you don't feel like you can be a business owner. You feel like the most imposter syndrome ever at that age, I feel. So I was like, okay, like that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do it. So I had created the marketing page. It wasn't called Making It Marketing at that time. Fun fact, we started out with the name Magnetic Marketing. And little did I know, great lesson for all entrepreneurs that it was actually like a name of a book that was copyrighted. So always Google your possible business name, do all your research on it first. So I had that name for a little while and I was just posting stuff. This was February 2020. So this is like right before the whole world changed. So I was just posting stuff, like doing some marketing for my brother's photography business. And then when COVID hit, I lost my job at the dance studio. I lost my brand new marketing job that those people so kindly helped me get set up with. So I was like, well, I'm home. I have Canva. I have all these tools. I have my laptop. I might as well just keep making posts and keep doing stuff for them. So I literally worked for free for my business, for these people that I used to get paid by, not necessarily for marketing jobs at the dance studio, but I was helping keep businesses afloat during this time through my very baby new skills that I had just kind of learned and I was learning as I went. So really, it started truly as a side hustle. It started as something that I was learning from. It started as something that I didn't honestly expect or think it would be full-time anytime soon, because a lot of people teach you or tell you that you need this many years of experience or you need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to go have a whole corporate career before starting your company, like I did or like so-and-so did. And that kind of made me confused in my college years because I had this business. I loved working on this business. I loved some of the jobs I had. I had a good amount of different marketing jobs. I worked at an agency across small businesses, obviously like doing some of my own marketing stuff. So yeah, I just kept doing it on the side. 2020 was a whirlwind for many. I had started another business at that time called Wanderlust Vibes Designs. That one is like really on the side now because Making It Marketing is full-time. But what that business taught me is how to market a product, how to market, something that's kind of out there a little bit different, because I was doing digital portraits of people and pets. So it was a lot of fun. And truly, I think it's what kept me sane during this time while we were all home and while you and I were college students, like suppressed from social time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really how it started. And then I would let you ask a few more questions before I get into how it became full-time, because that's a whole nother long-winded story in itself.
For sure. Yeah. And my next question is, like, you spoke obviously about how you began this in your college years. So for somebody in the audience out there that's still in college looking to start their own business, how do you balance that? And how do you, you're a full-time student and then you have to put hours towards obviously building the website, building a logo, doing all that stuff. So yeah, how do you balance that?
That's such a good question, and it's something like I wish I heard someone answer when I was in school. And I was a commuter, so I had a lot of time to work. Like, I went to my classes and then I worked, and that was my whole life. Like, I wasn't partying on the weekend. Like, I'm kind of lame in that sense that I didn't do anything that most college people do. So for me,
it's overrated.
It is, but we're a different type of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, like, I did move into college this is so embarrassing. I lived there for 2 days and then I moved out because I was just like, I want to go home and work. Like, I don't want to be here and not be making money, because I had goals, like, financially, and I knew that I had to work through college to achieve those goals at the time that, by the time that I wanted to. So work had always been a big part of my life during that time. So literally, like I said, I did classes, but at the same time, I need to give myself credit because I was also doing more classes than the average person, because I also had the goal to graduate early. So I did I think 19 credit semesters, and then I would do one or two summer courses per summer semester, and then I always did a winter course. So that ultimately led me to graduate a whole year early in 2022. But in terms of balancing, here's what I'll say. This is probably the best advice I can give a college student. Get a job that allows you to do your own thing. That sounds kind of silly, but let me explain. if you are working at a desk somewhere, so maybe you're working at your school gym where you're just there to kind of monitor things, clean up at the end of the night, check people in, but there's lulls like in between where people are coming and you can work on your homework or you can work on your business or another job. And I did that with the jobs that I had. Babysitting allowed me to do that. My job at the dance studio allowed me to do that. And it wasn't wrong because they knew. They didn't care because I'm just sitting there anyways. They don't want me to sit there and twiddle my thumbs. They're like, okay, cool. Like the kids are asleep. You can do whatever you want, you know? So that's really truly what allowed me the time to be making the money that I needed to make to survive in college while also working on something for myself. And I
Awesome.
did use that time for homework and I used it for my side business with the designs. And to be honest, making a marketing wasn't really truly born until I started taking my entrepreneurship classes, and like my classes allowed me to build my business plan, to build out my idea. But that's really what it was in college, is it was just an idea with like some posts here and there. So I had the magnetic marketing posts, and then when I rebranded, I think I took them down for a while and then kind of started from scratch because at that point I had known well enough that I'm not going to start marketing on social media if I can't be consistent with it. And I knew with school, I probably couldn't be consistently posting. I probably didn't have enough, like, you know, things that I was doing to post about. So I kind of held off. And then once I graduated, even though I was seeking and started working a different full-time job, I still woke up at 6 a.m. every single morning to make my posts for the week, or, you know, like catch up on my reels. Summer 2022, God, it sounds like it wasn't that long ago, but being 3 years ago, I look back through my Instagram and things that I posted then, and it was so much more fun on social media because we were posting like dancing videos and I was getting like so many views. It was just a different algorithm then, but it's just so funny because I look back and I see what I was doing to gain traction and brand awareness. And I was literally living at my dad's house making dancing reels to start this company that now supports me and my lifestyle and employees. Like I have a full-time employee. We're taking on likely a second one by like this summer. So the fact that I was able to take that and turn it into something much bigger than what it was is something that still blows my mind. I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome about it, to be honest. And, you know, I was talking to you last week about just how I got here, and it's so wild. Like, it's so wild, the power of social media and how far it can take you just
Agreed.
from one post or one dancing video or sharing your idea with somebody. It's just crazy how much it can change your life.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm starting to experience that now,
Yeah.
building this up and just posting as much as I can. I'm looking at taking on my first intern coming up. So that's
Nice.
awesome.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be able to dump out more content a little bit more consistently. And I've already been seeing, what TikTok, what Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, all of that can do, and it's truly amazing. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your business, specifically Making It Marketing. How did you develop a niche? And I know we spoke a little bit about this over the phone and kind of very briefly, but I wanted to get a little bit more into that.
I love this question. So, the idea of a niche was so daunting when I first started, because when you start any business, you think and you want anybody to be your client, but the fact of the matter is that's not necessarily what's going to help you grow, because if you're marketing to everybody, you're really marketing to nobody. So, my niche, by some way of the universe, found me through a couple, different instances, and I'll kind of get into that. But I will say to anyone starting out, like, if you're struggling to find your niche, pick something, try it, and if you don't like it, you can change it. And that's something that I think I didn't really necessarily realize early on, but how my niche found me is such a funny question. So we basically have three niches with Making It Marketing. Our main one is casinos slash hospitality. So for the casinos that we work with, we also do their food, we do their hotel, and we have a couple other restaurant clients. We've also worked with a country club. So we're looking to grow that niche and industry that we market for, especially this year and on. So that's a really, really fun one. Another one that found us, my two clients at two different times, is staffing. So staffing is an interesting industry. There's really a lot of B2B. You know, you're mostly talking to other businesses looking to hire or candidates that are looking for jobs. So that one was literally same thing, just by way of, and all these big clients that I got came to me through my personal brand on LinkedIn, which I can get into a little bit later on because that's a whole nother thing. But so staffing found us through that. So we have casinos, staffing, and then the third one is construction. So this actually started because of us working for a construction staffing company, and that stemmed off into referrals from them. So like, for example, one of our clients does like he works on older buildings. So the public house in Sturbridge, I think you might have been there before
Yeah.
because it's close to Nichols.
Hmm.
We just did a content shoot with them. They were just finishing up a project there. So they replaced like posts and beams and sills. So it's really interesting because I didn't study any of this stuff in college, right? Like but you don't have to. Like you learn it as you go and you learn it as you work with the business. So whether you're doing like a consulting business, a marketing business, you don't have to be afraid if you don't have like industry experience. So like last year I actually was working with the dance studio that I used to work at, which was really fun because I knew so much about that industry already. So there's so many different ways that you can go. You can kind of tap into like, all right, what jobs have I done? What volunteer projects have I done? And kind of go through like, what do I know enough about? You don't have to know everything about it. You need to know enough about it to understand it. And like from the marketing perspective, for me, I just put myself in the shoes of the consumer. So I've been a candidate before. I've been to a casino. I don't gamble, but I've been to a casino and experienced, like, I have technically played a slot machine before, like, played a game. I don't like it because I lose personally, but I love marketing all the winners that they get because that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I think just being able to put yourself in the shoes of the consumer of the niche that you choose to go in is truly what helps you build that niche. And when it comes to finding a niche, don't be afraid to explore different things. And also, one thing that I did in college before even thinking of doing the business full time is I did informational interviews with so many different people in the marketing world across various jobs like analytical jobs, social media jobs, high level marketing. And by talking to them and learning about their stories, I was able to figure out, okay, I think social media is the main thing that I want to focus on. You know, some of the things that they might have talked about that they do in their role might not have clicked with me as much as social media. So that's how I figured out, like, that's my niche in marketing. And then it's almost like the niches of the industry stem from that, essentially.
Wow, that's awesome. I will say this too, and those of you that are watching that are currently in college or they've been to college, that's one of the most valuable pieces of information. Like it's really there for you to network, you know, and that's
Yes.
that's what a lot of people miss is like, oh, I'm here to go to class, get A's and get good grades. No, it's really there. That's how you use college is you
Yeah.
network, you know, you have people give you useful information and then you take that information and go ahead and apply it to your own thing. So I'm really glad you mentioned that because that's just huge. But I wanted to also talk about the future of making it marketing. So do you have anything that's coming up, you know, that you'd like to share? How are you kind of staying ahead of the curve in the marketing world and things like that?
Yeah, so I will say, we're recording this January 27th, 2025. It's been a crazy start to the year for social media. Like, I'll be honest, I was just on a discovery call with a client and I was like, you know, I just made a video about what changed and then it changed again. Like, once you publish it, it's like things are always changing. And that's truly why it's valuable for businesses to hire my company because they don't have to be constantly researching, like, oh, why did the Instagram ratio change? What do I do about that? What about the TikTok ban? Like, there's so much that keeps changing. So if you were to say like what services are you guys offering in 2030, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea. But all I know is that we are going to keep adapting. As things change, we will adapt. As AI becomes bigger, we will adapt to that and find ways to incorporate that even more so in what we offer now. So like for example, I talk a lot about social media, but another main part of our business is website development and design. So we primarily work with the platform Wix. And on Wix, they just started implementing a little AI chatbot in their services, where before it was just like you could set up a Q&A and like fill in your pre-filled out questions or whatever. So once I found that out, I'm like, okay, now we're going to figure out how to add those to people's websites and how to truly optimize it in a way that works for them. So things are always changing in terms of like bigger picture, making it marketing. Obviously, the goal of every business owner is to keep growing. And when I started out, I set really, really massive goals for myself, as most people do. And I'm grateful to say, like, I have achieved some of those goals. But I think starting out, you're like, oh, I'm going to have like a team of 10 people, and then it's going to be 20, and then it's going to be 30. And what I've learned is managing people is no joke. Like, it's not something that comes lightly. It's something that I have the honor to do, but it's something that you also learn over time. So as I've been learning how to manage a team, I've learned that it's better to slowly build that team, to work with people that you know and trust, and people that will basically do what you need to be done for your business. And what I mean by that is people that aren't just doing it as a job, but because they feel their purpose. And that's truly what I try to empower my employees with. Because when I was an employee, and especially in my corporate job, I felt no purpose at all. I just felt like I was a little tiny piece of the puzzle that if I was gone, I could be completely replaced in a day and it wouldn't matter to anybody. Versus the people that work at Making It Marketing, they're such a huge piece of the puzzle. Like, they know if they're not getting things done, the company's not moving forward. And my growth in the business is also their growth in their career. And I think that that's the beauty in having people work for a small company. So I have been debating, like, what size do I want this company to land at? Like, do I want it to stay a small business? Do I want it to be really big? Because a lot of people that come to us are actually coming to us from bigger marketing companies where they say, I haven't heard from my marketing company in a month, or they only reach out to me if they want to charge more money. And that's not how we work. That's not how we operate. So that's something that as an entrepreneur, I kind of battle with, is like, I do want to grow and I want to be a big company, but I always wanted to have that small business feel because that's what we've been so successful in. So like, for example, our casino client over the weekend was texting us, hey, just had someone hit a giant jackpot. Can you post this now? It's like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. Most people would not respond to that. Me, I'm like, I got you guys. Here's the caption. Let's get it up. As long as I see it and as long as I'm free, I will get something done for my client. Of course you need boundaries, but as an entrepreneur, it's really like there's a lot of like blurred lines there because you want your business to grow. And you never stop thinking about your business. I wake up, I'm thinking about my business. I go to bed, I'm thinking about my business. I get coffee with someone who's not even in business. I'm probably talking about it to some extent. Like it becomes such a big part of your life. So I hope that answers your question, but I also like to keep some goals. Like, I don't like share financial goals or anything like out loud because it's almost like I want to achieve them for me, not necessarily because I said it and now someone's like, oh, I'm waiting for you to become $1 million business. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There is something to be said about keeping some personal goals and some business goals to yourself and then celebrating like when you hit them and then being like, oh, by the way, I did this. But if you tell someone you're working towards it, it's a double-edged sword, because if you tell someone you're working towards a goal, it motivates you more to get it done. But at the same time, like, then they're expecting it from you. Versus if you like achieve something huge and all of a sudden there's a post about it, they're like, whoa, I didn't know you were doing that. So that's kind of where I'm at, is I like to be private about like some of those things, but I'll talk bigger picture. Like, everyone wants to grow their company. You know what I mean?
1,000% agree with that. I even myself, I was watching this video the other day and the guy was like, if you speak things, out loud, you give people things to, something to attack or something along those lines. And that's that's what you don't want. And I've slowly been starting to learn that myself. It's like, all right, I'm going to
Mhm.
keep my goals quiet for the most part, and then
Yep.
when they do happen, watch out, you know? So
Yeah,
like,
right? Yeah. They
so,
better be ready because,
hmm
like, let me tell you, jealousy is real.
yeah,
People see that post, they'll be like, wait, I wanted to do that. Or
yeah,
how did he get here? You know, I
hmm
think that's such a big question is how did you get here? And it's like, well, you didn't see the sleepless nights. Or like, one thing I always joke about is people will be like, you go on vacation so much. I'm like, yeah, I became an entrepreneur so I can go on vacation whenever I want. But in order to do that, I'm still working on vacation. There hasn't been one trip that I've taken that I didn't bring my laptop, didn't open it at least once a day to check on things, to make sure things are still rolling. Because, like I said, when you're an entrepreneur, things don't just shut off. Like, just because it's Christmas doesn't mean you can't, like, it doesn't mean that you can't be there for your clients. And of course, like I said, there are boundaries. And I'm really grateful to be able to say, like, now I'm able to provide, like, benefits for my employees. So, like, they get holidays off, PTO, and eventually there will be someone that needs to work on a holiday, whether they're like a contractor, because I know I can't do it for the next 40 years, but I'm 23 right now, almost 24. Like, I don't really mind. Like, as long as it's not taking away from my time with my family or in my personal life, I'm doing it all from home anyways. So if I can help someone get something done right now, I'm going to get it done right now rather than pushing it off.
yeah, 1,000%. I live by this little piece of advice that I give everybody, and that's do something that the future you will thank you for. And
I say that.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. Yeah, I have a sweatshirt from my design business actually that says, what does it say? It's like make like oh, here it is. It's be good to your future self. And I
hmm
want to say like I am thanking my 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old self for everything I did and everything I sacrificed to get to where I am today because genuinely, like I would not have what I have or have achieved these goals if back then I wasn't putting my head down and focusing on what I wanted to do. And that's where all those side jobs that I did came into the picture. Like literally those played such a huge part in being able to graduate college and have a nest egg of a sense where I wasn't struggling to take my business full time. And this is something you and I talked about. But when I took my business full time, I did it intentionally when I did it because I wasn't paying rent at the time. I didn't have a mortgage or kids or anything, like any responsibilities. So I was like, there's literally no better time to do it than now. And I had a mentor tell me that. And he is someone that, I will thank for the rest of my life because I really don't know if I would be doing this full time if it wasn't for him.
wow, yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that because the older you get, the more responsibilities you take on. It only gets harder. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. So college students that are watching this now, do it now. And can I skip to the question you were gonna you were gonna ask me because I feel like it ties so well into what we're talking about right
yeah,
now.
yeah. So just in wrapping up, this is the Monday
Yeah.
motion. You know that there is a motivational piece to this, and yeah. So let's get into the final part of
Yeah.
what's something motivational that you have taken with you throughout your career.
All right. So if you are too scared to do something, do it scared. That is something that I carry with me in my business. I carry with me when traveling. I was in South Africa last year. I jumped off a cliff, on a bungee jump. But that was literally the phrase I had in my head is I'm never gonna do it if I don't do it scared. So it applies to so many different things in life. Like if you don't just take the jump, take the risk, no one's gonna take it for you. And then you're never gonna know how life would have turned out if only you did that. So that's something I recommend keep in your mind, everybody. Like if you want to do something, too scared to do it, just do it. Like honestly, you're probably going to regret not doing it more than you would regret doing it. So that's my number one piece of advice.
Right, exactly. And don't get it, mixed up either. There's also going to
Yeah.
be challenges, but like
Mhm.
but those challenges are something that you ask for. So have that mindset
Exactly.
going into it. It's something that you ask for. So take those, one step at a time as they come. and
Yeah,
take the risk. I love it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we hop off here?
Perfect. No, I think the only thing to add is if you enjoyed this interview, feel free to connect with me, connect with Making It Marketing. I am always happy and excited to support fellow entrepreneurs if you're trying to start something up. One thing that we didn't get too into that I'm happy to share with people is the resources. I feel like I didn't know all the resources that existed when I started my business. Like, I mean, I could name a couple right now. Eat for All is a program that I did for free that really truly helped me build up my business. There's small business development centers in so many different areas. We have one in Worcester. So I have an article that I wrote with Worcester Business Journal that like lists all of those out. I can share the link with you, but that's something that I just highly recommend. Like if you want to start something, don't be afraid to tap into your resources because there are people that are going to support you. And even if the closest person to you in your life doesn't support you, that doesn't mean a stranger that you just met at some networking event won't. Like, seriously.
Agreed.
I have been so excited about helping other people in their businesses. And I've had so many people that have supported me in mine that were strangers before I started. And the other thing that's so cool about this is my business actually brought in so many new friends in my life that I wouldn't have, otherwise. So, like I said, don't be afraid. Take the leap, but tap into everyone and everything that is there, available, and ready to support you.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
a good way to wrap this up. I really do appreciate your time. There's a lot of
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
valuable information here. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course.